In this video, I demonstrate how to create and initialize the Database Cloud service. Sign in to your Oracle Cloud account if you haven't already done so. Now, if there is no database service card, like in my case, click Create Instance and then select Database. There are very detailed instructions on what prerequisites your account must meet in order to create a database service. You may follow the link in the dashboard or go to the official documentation to learn more. Click Create Service. In this page, you set the basic information about the database service. Enter a service name, description, and notification email. Set the service level to Oracle Database Cloud Service. Metering frequency to hourly. Since you are testing, it makes more sense to meter hourly than monthly. The software release must be Oracle Database 12c Release 1. Then use the Standard Edition instead of Enterprise, and the database type must be set to single instance. Now click Next. Time for the details of the service. On the left there is the database configuration, and on the right is the backup and recovery configuration. Let's start with the left side. Set the administration password. Confirm it. In my case I use admin_123. Remember, you need an uppercase and a special character and numbers in your passwords. Set the smallest compute shape. If your database requires more resources, you can adjust it later. Now for the trickiest part. You need to set a key pair to connect to the database from outside the Oracle Cloud. Click the Edit button next to the SSH public key field. Select Create New Key. Now click Enter. And now, download the file. You download the SSH public and private keys you need to connect to the database service from outside the cloud. Now, on the backup destination, select None. In the bottom, there are advanced settings that let you change the database port as well as character sets and time zones. You don't need to change any of this. Scroll up and click Next. The following screen is a confirmation page. Confirm the information and click Create. The database service begins to be provisioned. While I wait for it to be provisioned, I will set up the SQL developer to connect to the Database Cloud service. Go to where I downloaded the SSH keeper and unpack the file. And I will put the files in the zip folder. I downloaded the zip. You may use any other location. You need these files to connect to the Oracle Database Cloud service, by the way. Now, open SQL developer. Let's see if my database service is done provisioning. Now, okay, it seems to be the case. Now I click the service name to open its details. And I will need this screen to use the information in it to connect to the service using SQL Developer. Specifically, right now, I need the public IP of my instance. Connecting to the Oracle Database Cloud service from outside the Oracle Cloud requires you to establish an SSH connection to the public IP and then create a port forwarding to connect to the database through the SSH connection. This can be done inside SQL Developer with relative ease. Go back to SQL Developer, open the View menu, and look for SSH. Click that item. The SSH host panel is displayed. Here is where I configure the connection using SSH. There, just right-click the SSH host and select New SSH host. Now, here is where you input the information of the database host. First, a descriptive name. This can be anything. Now, the host must be set to the public IP you get from the Database Cloud Service instance details. The username is OPC, and now click the Use Key File checkbox. Browse and look for the private key. The connection right now is pretty useless without a port forward, so click Add a local port forward. Set a descriptive name like Cloud DB port or something that makes sense, and the other values are to bind the database port. Since I use the defaults, I can just click OK. The SSH connection is displayed on the bottom left. Expand its nodes and you see the port forward. To connect to it, just right click and select Connect, and you must connect the host first and then the port. There are subtle differences on the icons when you are connected, but the indicator you are connected is that when you right click the item, the connect option is grayed out and you can test or disconnect. If you are unsure, try testing the connection. Okay, now I can create a database connection. Click the plus button on the Connections panel. Just as if I am working locally, first I must connect to the database as sys user. Then create a user and then connect with that user and create tables and data with that user. So, In the new connection dialog, I set the connection name, use the sys username, and the password is the one that I provided when creating the database service, which in my case is admin_123. Then the interesting part is the following section. Set the connection type to SSH and the role to sysdba. Select the service name instead of SID. The service name is in the connection string. It is whatever it is to the right of the slash. You also configure this in the service creation. I use the defaults, but anyway, you can copy it from this page. Test the connection and click connect. Now run the user creation script. Now let's connect using that user. Once again, create a new connection, and this time the user is from the script that I used to create the users, which is movies_USR with the password Oracle. Connection type is set to SSH, and this time the role is going to be default. And the service name, once again, comes from the details page in Oracle Cloud. Connect to it, and now run the table creation and data insertion scripts. And remember to commit everything at the end. Phew. Now your data is inside the Oracle Database Cloud Service and is ready to be used in your application containing cloud service applications. You may now disconnect from the database, the port forward, and SSH host, or just simply close SQL Developer. When you're ready to continue, watch the next video.